So today on Transform Gov, we are going to do something completely different. And it's something we've been asked to do over and over again. And this year we got our act together and we're going to do it. And that is helping you through the entry forms, because we are open for entries for the 2026 Ireland eGovernment Awards. And so let's figure out why some projects win and some don't. And it can be just the application form rather than the actual technology or the service. So we want you to submit stronger entries. And the reason is not just to help the judges and us, it's actually so that we get the best projects coming forward and the best ones win. Best one win, we can then tell you the story about why they're so good and that you can learn from those and genuinely benefit from it. So obviously those projects are ones that make a big difference or a genuine difference. They can be a small project, they don't have to be enormous. The important thing is that they have delivered on their promise. So entries are open on our website, which is digitalgovawards.com. And they open now and close on the 22nd of May. The awards themselves will take place on the 24th of September 2026 in the O'Reilly Hall UCD. And that's all made possible by our partners Accenture. So as I said, this is all for you. Hopefully will be in some way useful. And I'm lucky enough to be joined by the head judge, a lecturer at DCU School of Communications, who's been the judge now, I think, 20 years, head judge for 20 years for the Ireland eGovernment Awards. So Declan, you're very welcome to Transform Gov.
Thank you.
So I think you might have met Declan Tuite before, either on the website or perhaps at the awards or maybe on the podcast. But Declan knows more about these judging these awards than anybody else in the universe. So we're going to split this, by the way, into two. First half is really going to be asking Declan about what the judges look for, what helps them in terms of assessing an entry. And then the second half is just going to be a bit more practical about where you go to, what you need to do, prepare if you're actually doing an entry and the steps that are involved. So, Declan, we'll kick it off by saying, from a judge's point of view, what makes a great entry?
One that actually answers the questions that are in the application form.
Okay. It may seem obvious.
It may seem obvious, but there's a habit at times that buried in a lot of text are the answers we're looking for. And there might be sort of a mission statement or the overall project goals or the department's goals thrown in to sort of almost get someone writing it's like sort of thing, if someone starts to write, they need to start. And we better go back, getting rid of that bit and telling us about why the project is there, how it benefited somebody, was there before and after, those sort of things, and not a big preamble, because I often find, I wish they had told us more about this, but they've run out of space or time.
Yeah, I hear you. And in terms of, when you're looking at an entry, it is a digital transformation, awards. Are you interested in what was built or really the difference it made? Where does it... Where are the judges?
Both. Well, sometimes the technological innovation can be interesting, or the stitching together of different technologies can be something remarkable in itself. But we're not normally saying, well, why was that done? What's the context? And the context could be a huge scale. It could be across the whole of Ireland, or it could be something quite local. And just to get us an idea of the understanding of the impact that change or that delivery or that innovation made. So it's tying it down to something specific and not something, it made a big contribution. Are there any numbers? Are there a number of people whose lives were affected by this? Was there a change in some part of the department of phone calls went down and this went up, or we could now effectively...
Is it a combination then, Declan? Is it you're looking for innovation where it actually solves a problem?
Yeah.
But you want to know it made a difference, right?
Yeah, and what kind of a difference?
Yeah. And what about before and after? Are you keen to see information about before and after? What's the problem?
Yeah, just clearly state why you undertook the project. Not, we all know we're working towards, making society and the public's life better if we can. But what was the specific reason this project was undertaken?
Okay. And what about claims that people make? What are you looking for?
That claims don't just become nice aspirational.
Yeah.
And then we can see, well, you made a claim that it would deliver this or it would change that. How? Can you show us a usage pattern that's different? Not just a number of people that hit a web page or something, but did it change behaviour somehow? Can you show us that you were processing 180 applicants, but it took 6 weeks? Now it's 4 days, and it might only be 200, but that's enough for change. It doesn't have to be huge numbers and everything. It's just it had an impact, and considering what type of interaction you're having, how meaningful that was for the people. That counts too. Yeah,
I suppose there are basics, like be clear about who the user is, right? Who is this for?
Yeah.
Right? Because sometimes it's a back-end process and that's perfectly fine. But you've got to consider the user and how you're benefiting their life as much as if it's somebody at the front end, which is a member of the public who's you're delivering a service to. So do you look for kind of details of who the users are and who it's created for?
Well, yeah. And as you said, it doesn't really matter if it's something that joins up 2 or 3 departments that really makes a difference. You just have to let us know. We can't mind read or guess or from an implied. Think of the judges as informed people who aren't necessarily in your department. We won't know the shorthand code, or we might know your internal lingo. So spell it out of why it was important. And it can be something that's front-facing, or could be something that is to do with how 2 or 3 departments now communicate better, share resources better. That could be significant. And the impact of that could be, what people now do with their day. Like maybe they're doing higher level work than drudgery. That's really important.
I suppose sometimes people get a bit caught up in the technology, don't they? And explaining the technology, which is important, of course it is. But at the same time, you need to know what difference did it make?
Well, it's technology in service of something. And also it's thinking about, it's worth noting if someone is trying something a little bit more experimental or some combination that hasn't been done before to, help improve the chances that they are not just rolling out what we saw last year, but in green. Do you know that sort of way?
Yeah.
But don't get caught there. Just remember, you're doing this for some purpose.
And how closely should they read the details about what the judges are looking for in a particular category? Because there is descriptions and criteria.
There are descriptions, and also it can happen that some projects could be eligible for several categories, but do stack the decks in your favour in looking at the actual questions and look at the criteria, because there might be part of your project that needs to be framed to hit that one better.
Yeah.
Instead of putting everything in and just going, it's probably in 4 or 5 categories. Go, well, no, you could frame those sort of audiences. You could frame why it was done. You could frame the impacts to be more specific for the criteria of that section.
Okay, so what I'm hearing from you, Declan, right, is firstly, have what is the context? What is the problem you're trying to solve? How did you solve it?
Yeah.
What was the before?
Yeah.
Old world.
Yeah.
What's the new world? Yeah. And why do you think I suppose it deserves to win in relation to a category?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Well, look, I think we should come back in a few minutes. We have to take a break for a very important person, which is our partner, Accenture. But we're going to come back and we're going to talk about the specifics of applying and how you do that. Yeah. So back in 2 minutes.
Through the power of cloud, data and AI, Accenture is helping the public sector by blending human ingenuity, technology and a delivery-focused culture to turn their ambitions into action. Be ready for any challenge by adopting a continuous reinvention mindset to deliver human-centric services that adapt and grow with your needs. Contact the team at Accenture to find out more.
So we're back. I'm here with Declan Tuite, who, as you know, is our head judge for the Ireland eGovernment Awards, and we're here plucking out of him insight into what the judges are looking for. But actually, we're also going to talk now about what are the mechanisms for entering? How do you do it? It's not that complicated, but I think it's useful for people to understand. So I'll start with some of it. Firstly, that everything's done on to our website, so digitalgovawards.com. So when you go in there, there's a section called Enter, and you'll click on that, and then you'll be brought to our online entry application. But you can start the application now. We would definitely recommend it, wouldn't we, Declan, to start it straight away, because you can save it, and once your account's open, and go back to it. You don't have to submit it straight away. So can you actually tell a difference when somebody's taken a bit of time, registered early, and then spent time just doing the application?
Well, you can definitely tell that someone has had time to think about it afterwards. So they haven't just cut and pasted a few things from a report or text they already had. Maybe as a space holder initially, but they've thought about it. Hold on, I know there's a better answer to that, and they might have to mail someone else in the department to get it, or they might think, something people often forget is you can upload another document. So if a screen grab or some stats that are in another document, like a PDF, that's really useful. That won't get you. That's hard to do through text in the text box. And also, if you throw away 200 words describing a screen or describing what something looks like, a screen grab is that for us. So it's that sort of thing. But what I find is if someone starts, they don't say, okay, I'm allowing myself sort of a very short amount of time just to put something in. Treat it as something that can be started, saved, and you can come back to and just refine.
I think what we've learned actually is okay, so you go in, you go to the website, you enter, you create your online entry profile, if you like, in the online entry system, you save it, and then you can come back. But you can also get other colleagues probably to give you information. So often there's only 5 real fundamental questions we ask about the project. But you might, as Declan just said, you might say, actually, you know what, it'd be much easier. I've got a PowerPoint that could support that. Or I need to ask Joe because he does know the stats. So it's really good to start early. A, because you have to gather information. But B, you can begin to see what's needed, if you like.
Well, because it's only really when you go through the application that you'll read the criteria for the section and you'll actually see the question in front of you.
Yeah.
Not stuff about the project, but like literally, what was the impact? And there's prompts there to help you say, these are the type of bits of information to put in there, please. So it'll kind of help people get it right and make it really clear.
And the other thing is that, so when you do the online application, as I said, you register, but the information about the criteria for each of the categories is on the website. So you can go there tomorrow and have a look and see, all the different categories that we have. And you click on that on the website, you can go in and you can see description for what that category is all about. And then you can answer that question, you can answer, or rather speak to it when you're doing your entry. Yeah. So you just know to speak to the category. In terms of when you're looking at the entries, can you tell very clearly that they've spoken to the category?
Oh, yeah. Or you can tell whether it's somebody had, say, a couple of PowerPoints, an internal document, and they were doing the best they could with it, or they put that in a file and then actually tried to address what was being asked. There's quite a difference. Like, there's one thing making the judges sift through and try and see what you meant and how it might line up, and it could kind of work maybe, as opposed to actually answering the question that's there with the content you have. There is quite a difference. So it's about looking and saying, the impact, tell me about the impact. Don't tell me about all your aspirations, tell me about the impact.
Because I think what we're looking for you to tell us is, why should you win?
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
What the problem is. Is it a strong answer? Can we understand really in clear English what it is you've done and how you've done it, and in clear language? I think that's really important as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
Plain English.
Yeah.
No jargon.
Very, very plain English. No public service in speak.
Because we're ignorant, we won't know what it means.
Yeah. No,
right?
but you know what I mean. It doesn't help. Let someone know the value of what you've just spent months, possibly years on.
Yeah, exactly. And in terms of benefits, you were saying, have those ready? So what are you looking for, stats? Or
whether it's stats, it's usage, it's time saved, it's, improvements of quality, it's feedback from
customers or
from
users.
Actual users, which is something people often undersell. You might hear anecdotally afterwards say, but that proved your point, and they're the actual people using it. That's much more impressive than a bar chart showing a 20% increase in numbers. That doesn't necessarily correlate as well, So it's those sort of things. And again, don't get intimidated when people look for impacts. It's not sheer numbers. There can be small numbers that can be more detailed if that's the right for the audience. Not everything has to be hundreds of thousands. It can be small niche audiences that you're really addressing well, or have the potential that, your project will be picked up by somebody else on the other side of the country.
I think that's a really good point. If you explain that.
Yeah. Well, we're looking at things
like your entry to explain that.
Oh yeah, in the entry, explain why it's exemplary. Is it the sort of thing that another county council or someone in another library or whatever might pick up and say, that's a great idea? So it's not a case of you scale by getting a bigger budget and you cover the whole country. You've inspired somebody else. And that's the sort of thing that it could be used again, maybe a slightly different user group, but the big idea is really working. And that's what you could inspire another person along the line, or you could become the leader in this for the country and people come to you then for the expert advice. Yeah,
exactly. So in other words, the scalability in this, and that you say this can be picked up and used elsewhere. That's all you have to say, and then we understand that. So I think on a practical level, it's go to the website, step one. On the website, you'll see all the descriptions of the different categories. Read the different categories. Understand what they're looking for. If you decide there's 5 that are relevant to you, fantastic. But at least one point in your answers to explain why it relates to that category.
Yeah.
Okay. So that would be really useful for the judges. Register. Make sure you register to enter, and do that really, really early, because that'll give you time to gather third-party information that you have that may be outside of your answer to the question to support it, supporting docs. And you, as judge, say that's really helpful, right? What kind of stuff do people share?
Well, sometimes it might be in PDF form, and it might have been a previous PowerPoint they used to, give about the project elsewhere. But we'll have visualizations. We might have bar charts. We might have other things. But they might also have phrased it really well in that presentation they gave, what the core of the project was, because they had to stick it up in 2 bullet points instead of, I have a large text area and I'll fill.
Yeah.
Just to get it down to the elevator pitch stuff and let us know. So it's usually the visuals, usually the stats you won't get in elsewhere, changes of usage. Maybe sometimes testimonials are in there as well. And whatever is right for your project to say, this had impact.
Look, you can see the screen grabs which we're sharing through PowerPoint, and it can show you actually once you get into the body of the application what we're asking you. But the first part of it is just, who are you? Who's the lead on the project? Who is it that's entering on behalf of the project? Because we're not always the same person. Can we contact you? What's your phone number? The email addresses. We want to know who you've partnered with as well. We want to know what technologies underpin it, and you may have partnered with other people. That's really important for them to be recognised as well. Then just basic information. And then we start getting into the meat of it. And I think, the questions are designed really to say, what's the problem? Context, problem. What have you done?
Yeah.
What's innovative about it? How did you approach it? What's the before and after in terms of what the outcome's been?
What's the current state of the art, and how come you've pushed this a little bit forward?
Exactly.
Or you've augmented it.
Why this category, or 4 or 5 categories, why does it suit those categories? What is it about it that's going to fit with the criteria? Right. Anything else that we should be thinking about?
No, just honestly, just start early. Because it's only when you start filling it in that you realise, if only I had 2 more days, I could get that email, or I could get those stats, or I could have someone look at this phrase I'm using. Does that really sum up what we did? Does that kind of make sense?
Yeah.
And it's usually, you usually tell someone to spend a bit of time making it happen, and not just filling in boxes on the hope. Because not everyone won't have used, even though you might think the whole country has seen and used your app, your site, whatever it is, we mightn't have. It mightn't be in our sort of everyday knowledge.
Yeah.
You know
and
what I mean?
Judges are quite diverse in terms of their backgrounds and where they're coming from, so they may not.
Yeah.
I suppose, we've given you that checklist there. We will share, by the way, a PDF checklist for you, so you can have that at your fingertips. It'll be available through the website. Don't forget, by the way, also to sign up on our website for updates for our emails, because that'll give you all the notifications and warnings, I suppose, of when the deadline's approaching. So in terms of our process, once you've gone in, you've completed your application, you can, when you're doing your entry, as you can see from the screen grabs they're sharing, you can select to enter more than one category. So that's totally cool. You don't have to start from the very beginning. Just reference in your descriptor why it's relevant to that category, or 5 categories. Okay, and then we shut down. And then the first phase is we create a finalist shortlist. So that it's a shortlist of the people who've been put forward out of all of the entries for that particular category, which Declan leads up. And then we have a whole panel of judges who are then going to evaluate each of the different categories to pick the finalist and the winner. We do all of that, just so you know, online. It's all done online, except for the final day, as in the real people come together to select the winners, and we do that in person. And then those are announced at the awards, which, again, I to remind you, please put these dates in your diaries. So the 22nd of May is the closing date. We're open for entries already, which is our website. And then the actual award ceremony, which will take place with the senior person of government actually presenting the awards, on the 24th of September. And that's going to take place in UCD O'Reilly Hall. So that's really, I suppose, the main bones of it. Anything else, Declan, you think we should be reminding people of? I
just think enter. Because people often don't think what they've done is that special. They often might get intimidated by thinking, oh, that department or that section there, they have a huge budget. Or, that's not the point. It's impact, and it's how original it is, and what the real drive behind the project is. They're important. Yeah, I mean, some of our best winners actually have been pretty small projects. Now, of course, there's been big ones that make a big national impact. But, I think some of the ones like the Digital Repository of Ireland, that was really, relatively speaking, a very small project that won overall. Then we've had big ones like Revenue, of course, that have won. Then we've had other ones like the OGCIO offices won for different things. So there's some of them. Sometimes it's training and process that can be an entry, but they make a big difference. For example, the LGMA had their cybersecurity process, which can be used by all the local authorities. That one. So it's very wide and varied in terms of what can win. It's just using technology to solve problems, really.
And of course, by the way, everybody deserves to be recognised, your team. There's probably often, there's a big cast of thousands who are involved in the project, at some way from the beginning to the end. So it's a great chance for them to be recognised for the work they do. And of course, to come to the ceremony, because it is a fabulous day for networking, hearing what other people are doing. We have videos, by the way, on our YouTube channel, Transform Gov, and also the Ireland eGovernment Awards YouTube channels, which again, we'll provide you with links on the PowerPoints that we are going to share with you as part of this session. But I think it would really help you to hear the judges speaking about the categories and what they were looking for. And we'll mention all the projects that were shortlisted as finalists, because again, you may want to go and have a look at those. Anything else, Declan?
Honestly, just start now. And don't leave it too late. I think that's the most upsetting thing, that you often get a mail after the case and somebody going, I kept meaning to do it and then I forgot.
Yeah.
Just get it started, because it saves. You can tweak it and then submit.
And don't leave it into the last day, which is what I always do. It's a terrible thing to do. I'm just saying, well, don't do what I do. And don't forget, you can enter multiple categories, and please use plain English, no jargon, and we'll all be very happy. Declan, thank you so much for joining us today. I think it's been really helpful. Hopefully it's been really helpful to our applicants. Hope it'll encourage other colleagues, please, to enter as well, not just your own department. Please encourage others to do it. Again, it doesn't matter what size it is. And if you found this conversation useful, please share it with your colleagues. And don't forget, if you'd like to hear more conversations about public sector transformation in general, there's lots of others on Transform Gov. We've got a whole load of podcasts now. I think we're up to number 70. And finally, before we finish, thank you to the studio team. That's studio manager Peter Rice, video editor Neil Horner, sound engineer Lee Brennan, and videographer Richie Ryan. So thanks for listening, and hopefully this is useful.